Hello, everyone. This is Nicole Coveney, and I'm Mrs. Colorado 2020. And as you all know, with COVID, my year as Mrs. Colorado is it's a big online interview. And I am actually here with Amy Warren, and she's one of the co-founders of Treeline Pass. Hi, Amy.
Hi.
We're going to start to try to put the puzzle together. As you all know, I'm advocating really heavily for Treeline Pass this year, which is a program that empowers adults with developmental disabilities. And so we're going to, a couple of weeks ago, we spoke with Gabe Koroluk, who is the treasurer and co-founder. I've spoken with Michael Ensalada, who is the program director for Treeline Pass. He's on those front lines with the adults that you guys are working with. And then Kari Yancey, who is also one of the co-founders of Treeline Pass. So Amy and I are going to talk a little bit. First, I wanted to ask, because so many people, Amy, asked me about why the name Treeline Pass. So I would love for you to walk through what Treeline Pass means and what your logo means.
Great. So our name is a combination of two really key features here in Colorado, the tree line and the mountain pass. So you probably know that the tree line is the highest altitude in the mountains where trees can grow. And they can't grow beyond that because the conditions aren't adequate to support their growth. So many people with autism and developmental disabilities also require very specific conditions in order to grow. And unfortunately, since those conditions aren't really widely available, they're not commonly seen doing things like holding jobs or really being fully immersed in the community. So they can be seen, and they can even see themselves as being very limited. And Treeline Pass is the pathway that takes them beyond those limitations. Because we know through both research and experience that they are actually highly capable of doing those things and much more, given the right conditions. So we provide those conditions by doing things like hiring highly trained staff who use research-based methods. And those things empower our clients to continually increase in independence and fulfillment. And that is the Treeline Pass.
Oh, that's wonderful. I didn't know that after this entire time. And I think somebody had explained it to me at one point, but you explaining it, it seems new to me. So I'm actually really glad to hear that, just so we have an answer on it.
There are certainly more succinct ways to explain it. That's my very wordy way. We had the good fortune of working with some marketing brand experts who worked for us pro bono, and they really understood our mission, and they brought it to life in our logo and really all of our branding. So I want to read specifically the way they wrote it, since they're the experts, and I'll show you our logo also here.
Oh, good.
So our logo. And our logo incorporates topographic map elements with the mountain pass icon to symbolize our vision, to provide a path for our adults to navigate safely within society, allowing them to achieve limitless growth and to rise above the tree line. So, I mean, this just says it all. We're so grateful for them. It was the people who developed our branding and logo. It was Christopher Lusso and Jeff Kinsel at the Masters of Chaos, and we will link to their website in the comments. I couldn't recommend them highly enough. I also want to thank Andrew Vick of Vick & Company, he worked for us pro bono. He still works for us pro bono. Over the past 3.5 years, he's spent countless hours developing our website and maintaining our website, which is treelinepass.org. And we will link to his website in the comments as well. We really couldn't have gotten started without so much help from experts such as these, and we're really truly grateful for them.
Well, and the website, the logo, everything's very clean. There's not too much going on, so it's very easy to navigate through. So they really did do a good job. So I'm glad to know who did that. That could be really helpful for some people. So I want to know how you and Gabe and Kari met.
Well, when we talk about really specific conditions that are required for certain populations to thrive, Gabe and Kari and I were all fortunate enough to find that situation for our children. at the Joshua School, and that's where we all met. Our kids, our youngest kids, were all in the same class together, and I think we met in 2012, and we've been working on Treeline Pass together for about 3.5 years, pretty much nonstop. So we have a pretty diverse set of backgrounds and experiences, and then, as I mentioned earlier, we have pulled in just a huge array of other talents and expertise on our board and through pro bono, people helping us pro bono.
Wonderful. That's great. So tell me, you mentioned your youngest, and I think they're all around the age of 13, right? Gabe, Kari, and your child, 13, 14?
Caroline is 14.
Wow.
So yeah, they're all pretty close together.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about Caroline. She's a very cute girl. I've seen pictures. I've never met her in person.
She's the cutest. So she's 14. She has autism, and she has pretty significant communication impairments. We also have a son who's a freshman in college. And throughout this past year, Caroline was listening to these endless conversations about my son jumping through all the hoops of the college admissions process, the essays and the paperwork and the interviews. And Caroline is, as I mentioned, her communication is really impaired, but she's always listening and she understands everything. And she seemed really stressed out by those conversations about admissions. And it occurred to me one day that she doesn't know what the next step is for her. And so I said, Caroline, you are so lucky, because when you finish school, you are going to college at Treeline Pass, and it is the perfect school for you, and you've already been accepted. And she was so relieved and so proud. And we as parents we were so grateful that she really does have the next perfect step. And I mean, that's just what everyone wants for their children. We know that she's going to have all the tools that she needs to have a fulfilling adult life, and it's just a great feeling. So that's why we started Treeline Pass, because they need that next step.
That's a relief for her. And the fact that you, Mama, were able to pick up on that is pretty huge, because you do have to be in tune with your kids. I'm not always the most in tune with my three. And it's one of those like light bulb moments when you pick up on something and it's like, oh my gosh. So that's really awesome. And as the youngest, especially.
Before that occurred to me, why, at first I thought, and I think part of it was, she was worried about Ian leaving our family, which, or just not living in our home. But this was kind of a light bulb moment too, that, she didn't know what the next step was. We've been talking about college with Ian for years. So this is just a huge thing for our family, and hopefully for many, many more families.
Well, and for those of you that haven't seen my other interviews, Treeline Pass basically starts after kiddos with developmental disabilities age out of school at the age of 21. So those kids will continue on through school. And then unfortunately, I've heard some people, they've explained it as almost like falling off a cliff, which was what Caroline was worried about, was you don't know what the next step is. So Treeline Pass with ABA therapy, applied behavior analysis, is helping these kids growing into adults have a place to learn life skills and just become contributing members of society. So it's such an important, and it's such a unique program compared to other day programs for adults with developmental disabilities. So I will continue to advocate heavy for you guys.
So grateful. Well, we really expect as a society that everyone is a lifelong learner. Like when you finish school, you go into college or trade school, you join the workforce, and then continually throughout your life, you are working towards that next promotion or taking continuing education classes. My understanding is that you had not ever entered a pageant prior to the year in which you became Mrs. Colorado. So
the year before, yeah.
So everyone deserves opportunities like that to learn new aptitudes, to have a sense of purpose, to feel like they're contributing to, making a contribution. And people with autism and developmental disabilities are no different. But for some reason, when they finish school and they reach adulthood, they are often offered little more than daycare. And that's just a huge loss for those adults and for their families and really for all of us, because as you said, they can and should be contributing members of the society. And so.
Right. Well, and this month, it's funny, I just posted this morning on the newsletter that you put out, and remind me what this month is, because it has to do with adults with
National Disability Employment Awareness Month.
Okay, awesome. So you can go to my story on Instagram and Facebook and see the newsletter that Amy put out, and it actually has stats of how wonderful employers are having success with adults with developmental disabilities. So definitely.
They make excellent employees. They often need a lot of help with the interview process. There's actually a great link to a 60 Minutes piece that's very recent about employing people with autism. So everybody can check that out.
Awesome. Well, Amy, thank you so much for chatting with me today. And
we are so grateful. You are the most wonderful spokesperson. So
my heart is with you guys this year. I'm so excited to do whatever I possibly can to raise funds, to raise awareness for you guys, because I believe wholeheartedly in your mission. So thank you so much. And everybody, if you have any questions for me or for the folks at Treeline Pass, don't hesitate to reach out, and have a great night.